So let's walk through an example. Kaiser Foundation Hospital claims that the mean waiting time for patients to be seen in the emergency room is 20 minutes. A random sample of 40 patients produced a mean waiting time of 18.5 minutes and a standard deviation of 4 minutes. Use a 0.10 significance level to test the claim that the mean waiting time is equal to 20 minutes. And of course here I'm going to do the p-value method. First, let's state the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Since the hospital claims the mean waiting time is 20 minutes, right, that will be the null hypothesis. And the alternative, well, since we're going to test the claim that that's our mean waiting time, our alternative would be that the mean is not equal to 20. Okay. Before I compute the test statistic, let's gather some sample data. So in this example, we have 18.5 minutes is the mean of our sample. We had 40 patients in the sample. So here we've got 40 for the sample size, and a standard deviation of 4.0, so that'll be standard deviation. Now, to compute the test statistic, I believe we have all the information we need here. But remember, it's going to be a t-score. So we'll have x bar minus mu over s over the square root of n for this test statistic. So 18.5 minus 20 over the square root of, let's fix that. So over s, which was 4, over the square root of n, which was 40. Now when we punch this into my calculator, I got to be extra careful when I'm dividing everything here. I want to make sure first that I group the two terms in the numerator. So I put those in parentheses. And then when I divide here, I want to make sure I'm properly dividing 4 divided by the square root of 40. Okay. So this gives me a test statistic of negative 2.3717. Now that we have the test statistic, we can compute the p-value. So to visualize it, well, the test statistic we found was negative 2.37, so maybe somewhere around there. Okay. So to compute the p-value, well, remember in this case our alternative hypothesis was using the not equal to symbol. So actually we're going to do two tails. We're going to do the two-tailed test here. So I'm going to compute the area of this region here, but then I'm going to double that because it's going to give me the area of the second tail as well. So remember, we're also going to have the two tail over here, so the second tail will have the same area as the first tail. So these, we can assume these two tails have the same area. So we're going to do 2 times the probability that t is less than negative 2.37. And in this case, because it's a t-score, I'm going to need to use tCDF on my calculator. So because here we're calculating a p-value for tCDF, right, I make sure I'm using the right calculator function. So tCDF, so I go to the distributions menu. It's the same menu where I'd find normal CDF. I'm going to scroll down a little bit past that to the 6th entry there, the 6th function in our distributions, tCDF, where here for the lower we'll put negative infinity negative 1e99, or some very small value. Our upper will be negative 2.37. And then for df, which remember is the degrees of freedom, we're going to put 1 minus, or 1 subtracted from our sample size. So it'll be 39. Okay, and so something around point, don't forget to multiply by 2, so I get something around 0.0228. And well, what does that tell us? In this case, our significance level was 0.10, and we got something here that was definitely less than 0.10. Right, so the p-value in this case is definitely less than alpha. So what are we doing? We're going to reject the null hypothesis. Now let's draw a conclusion from that final decision. So we decided that we're going to reject the null hypothesis. In this case, we're going to say that the claim that the mean waiting time is 20 minutes is not supported. So so there's evidence that this claim is false. Okay, so we have evidence to support the alternative that we support the alternative claim that the mean waiting time is something other than 20 minutes. So, well, let's think about what a type 1 and a type 2 error would be in this case. In this case, a type 1 error would be rejecting the null hypothesis when in fact the null hypothesis is true. So in this case, a type 1 error would be saying that the mean waiting time is not 20 when it actually is. Whereas a type 2 error would be saying the mean waiting time is not 20 minutes when it actually is. Or sorry, you're saying that the mean waiting time is 20 minutes when it actually is not.